Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome back to another podcast. This is Two Bros, One Blockchain, and we're back here again for our second episode. And in today's episode, we're going to be going over some of the mid to, I guess you can say, micro cap plays that we are very interested in, or that we are allocated to, and kind of discuss our thesis around them, as well as what we're going to be doing with them going into 2025. I know in our last episode we really mainly talked about our main holdings, our main positions that we believe are going to carry us through 2025. But before we get into that, we're going to be talking a little bit about the macro environment that we're in right now. I can say that there's a lot of fear in the markets. There's definitely a lot of people who are wondering if the bull run's over. There's a lot of influencers as well that are kind of feeding into that narrative that the bull run is over, and I'm here to say that I don't think that we're there. And yeah, I guess we're gonna go off of the assumption that the global liquidity cycle is going to churn and up to the right, and then Bitcoin is going to follow. So that's kind of the thesis we have. But yeah, Alex, if you want to get into it more, we can discuss how we're feeling at this moment in time.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day so far. So yeah, definitely, I think we're in a really good spot, and I kind of want to start us off here with just last evening, talking about his famous coin term, the banana zone. He loves that. For those of you that don't know who Raoul Pal is, he's the founder slash CEO of Real Vision. He worked for Goldman Sachs, a bunch of large financial corps. Very, very strategic and where he thinks the market's going to go. Has a lot of strong background. Not heavily allocated into a large array of coins, but he's really, really big on obviously things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sol, and then SUI, right? So he's on the board for SUI, which has done phenomenally and is one of now is my second biggest holding as of this morning, right? With everything going down, SUI is now currently the only thing looking pretty much green over the last 7 days, 30 days, right? 30 days, it's up 21%, up 10% over the last 7 days. Whereas if you look at the 7 day chart, everything else is red, right? Probably somewhere between 10 to 30% in the downtrend here. Overall, though, I think we're in a really, really good spot. So we were talking in our last podcast episode about the thought of where we think we're going to go with Trump's inauguration coming up, right? January 20th. That's going to be a huge day for us. Same day as MLK Day this year. We are basically looking at that as kind of the catalyst to launch us to this next leg up, right? And if you believe that we are in a bull market here, you do want to kind of think of this in terms of where is the market going now that Trump is coming into play, right? So I kind of use the analogy that Trump would probably want it to be the darkest day here, right? As we get closer to his inauguration. And why would that be the case? Well, why would you want to hand anything over to the Biden administration, right? You wouldn't. You would essentially want everything to look as down as possible. You come into office, things launch, everything kicks up, and everyone is super, super happy with their decision to vote him into office for the next 4 years. Stay tuned. I think this is going to be the huge catalyst that launches us. Looking back on the election, right? Look how much we actually took off in terms of everything went up 30-40%, right? ONDO, SUI, etc. They all put their next leg up to around that time. And I think we're going to start to see the same scenario play out here over the next week or two as we get closer. So definitely really, really interesting time to be involved in crypto. I think it's probably the most exciting time, at least over the last year and a half, right? That you could have been involved in, besides the halving event, which proved to be a flop, right? Anyone that kind of bought that peak in the 70Ks definitely got wrecked for the entire summers. We are starting to see some local bottoms. We're starting to really see what's going to be the key narratives here as we get closer to inauguration, right? I think things like SUI, XRP, ONDO are going to look really, really strong once we get this pump. You can see how fast Ethereum moved, right? It shot all the way up past 3,600 very, very quickly. Bitcoin came back down. Of course, it dragged itself back down with it. However, it's showing you how fast everything wants to break out. If we see Trump come in and Bitcoin goes back towards 105, 108K, and then hopefully makes a new all-time high, I think you're going to see Ethereum quickly move past 4K. And that's going to launch a lot of these larger mid caps, right? And of course, small caps, everything's going to move with Ethereum and Bitcoin. But overall, we're going to talk a little bit about the super cycle ideas. Dante, I know you and I kind of differ sometimes in terms of the long-term forecast for the crypto market here. We obviously know the stock market plays a huge role in impacting the crypto market as well. However, I do think that there is the chance of a super cycle scenario here. Am I saying it's going to last the entire 4 years of Trump's presidency? No. We are going to have some major pullbacks across the way, of course, right? However, I do think that coming back to Raul Paul's tweet, I think this kind of makes a lot of sense. Just reading here kind of phrases it as the banana zone phase one was the breakout in 2024, right? We saw a lot of legs up. If you got involved in something like SUI, you got in below 50 cents or between that 50 and 80 cent level, right? You're looking at 4 or 5 to 10x, right? Depending on where you got in. So really, really strong, and it's held those key levels. Same with XRP. We all know that I'm a little bit part of that XRP army, or you can call me an XRP maxi if you'd like. So next up would be the banana zone phase two. Banana singularity is what he phrased it, and this would be our classic alt season. Everything's going to go up, followed by a larger consolidation, which I think is pretty dominant across the board. Right? A lot of these big influencers and investment companies, right? They definitely think that there's going to be a major pullback. I would say something around 150K sounds pretty realistic to me, right? We go up, we break 150K, we come all the way back down to something like 100 to 120. Hopefully we hold that 100K level from here out. And then from there, we probably make our blow off top, right? So he labels that as the finale or the banana zone phase three, when core winners explode onto much higher highs, right? So the concentration phase, and he also labels this as his roadmap to Valhalla. So I really like the way he phrases it. I'm a big fan of Raoul Paul. I watch a lot of his live and his recording podcast. They're a little long, a little lengthy, and he's a little long-winded, right? Doesn't get to the point super quick. But it's very, very good for just kind of sitting back and listening to in your free time, maybe while you're cooking, things like that, because he really does give some valuable insight into the market. Overall, though, I do think, like he's saying here, so we could have a banana zone phase three that really pushes well past 2025. If everything keeps rocking, rolling, right? If we start to see some large black swan event, or we see um, recession data, right? Inflation's flying up, job reports are coming in negative, things like that, then we're obviously going to see a huge, huge impact. But we do want to focus on making sure that we're looking into the optimistic forecast, right? So if you're involved in this space and you have skin in the game, you probably think that in the short term, so 3 to 6 months, we're going to have a very, very strong market here. And I feel that way personally. But Dante, how do you feel on the subject?
Yeah, I think so. We talked about it, Raul Paul. I think his thesis is pretty simple, and simple in the sense that he keeps it pretty simple. I know there's a lot of factors that go into it, and I guess for the sake of how I look at things, it's the same way. It's trying to keep things as simple as possible, because I think the daily noise of the ups and downs in the market can be very difficult to handle, especially if you're not someone who's used to the volatility of crypto. I think so. We were talking about it a little bit, the stock market and the crypto markets actually being correlated. It was actually like found that it's not as correlated as we once thought in terms of when crypto is doing well versus the stock market. Most of the time, if you look at probability, it's not that they are actually correlated. So that's kind of interesting to know. I think that was something that I also kind of bought into earlier in my time in crypto, but I'm realizing I think there is always going to be larger things at play, especially with the macro. And so if you have the idea or you have the thesis that global liquidity is going to rise in 2025, by that thesis, and Bitcoin is going to rise as well, the stock market's going to do well, then, past the point in 2025 where we see, global liquidity rising, it's hard to say that will, continue to go up without any kind of stumbling blocks. So I think that's where, when the money printers aren't going off and there isn't as much easing, I think, crypto, again, when we're talking about super cycle, that's when things will get difficult to continue holding a lot of altcoins. I would say for Bitcoin at this point, like, you're looking to just DCA into this thing and hold it over the long term. It's clearly showed that it has staying power. So I don't think you really have to be worried about holding Bitcoin, but I think it really goes back towards a lot of the other altcoins. I think even, we talk about Sol, SUI, I think the layer ones, the smart contract platforms, those potentially might be worth holding. But again, if you look at the prior cycles, even those went down 70, 80, in some cases 90%. So it's really about just knowing what your risk tolerance is, what you're willing to, kind of bear. I think the longer you've been in crypto, the less likely you are to believe in a super cycle. But, macroeconomically and also just the political environment and the regulatory environment around crypto has never been better. So I in that sense, we are in a super cycle where instead of headwinds, we have tailwinds. In prior cycles, most of the battles that we were fighting were major headwinds, which don't exist anymore. That being said, I know we have some kind of macro themes that we're investing in, mainly when it comes to altcoins, and we wanted to talk about some of the smaller to micro. I wouldn't even call them micro caps, just smaller capped altcoins. So Alex, if you want to go first and talk about some of the plays that you're interested in holding in 2025, and then I think I'll get into the ones that I'm interested in as well.
Yeah, I think three that I'm very interested in, and I have a larger conviction in. There's definitely CRV and CVX, which are paired together, right? So they kind of go hand in hand. Curve or CRV is an Ethereum token that powers CurveFi. It basically makes it easy to swap between ERC20 tokens. These would be like stable coins such as USDC and Ethereum-based Bitcoin tokens. CRV and CVX, right? So if you look at total market cap, CVX is the ERC20 utility token for CRV or convex finance. And they kind of go hand in hand, right? When one moves, the other moves. The only difference is that CRV, being that it is the larger market cap, right? So it's ranked a lot higher. CVX could give you that better potential, right? So being the fact that if you're not familiar with market cap, right, in order for price to go up, market cap has to go up as well. And then you get that inflation piece, right? Are they dropping additional tokens? So if the market cap stays the same and they push out additional tokens, or they release more tokens, then you're going to see the price go down, right? Same thing as inflation. If I have 10 apples and $10 and it's $1 an apple, if I now have 20 apples and still only have $10, right? The price is going to change for each apple, and that's dealing with that inflation factor, right? So when you get involved in a project, you want to make sure, of course, that it's not going to drop a ton of tokens on you when you invest and push the price down or be inflationary for that stance. Another one that I really, really like is LCX, right? So they're basically dealing with tokenizing real world assets. They've been around for a while. One of the larger crypto projects within Europe. Dante, I know you have a extensive background with LCX. You were talking about it, I think, about a year or two ago. Do you have anything that you kind of want to add on to LCX and where you see it going?
Yeah, I think we actually were making videos about LCX back in 2021, and we caught it on this big move that it had with the rest of the market, essentially at the end of 2021, which spelled the end of the bull market really, and the start of the bear market. I think, yeah, it has a good team. There's kind of a lot of hype behind the community. They've been around for a while and they've been quote unquote developing for a while. I really just haven't seen an end product to what they're doing yet, which is why I kind of have shifted away from LCX. Again, I just think, if you're doing your research on this one, which I haven't since 2021, I haven't spent any time really other than looking at this from a purely trading standpoint. Fundamentally what they're doing, I think, yes, if you're buying into real world assets as one of the major narratives for 2025, this might be one that you look into. But yeah, I haven't really looked into this one, to be fair, so I can't give you a true and honest update on this one. And it's clearly, if you look at the chart, it has a lot of boom and bust in it. And I think if it shows real traction, if it has a network effect, we'll see higher prices for this thing. It's only at a $200 million market cap. It did get listed on Coinbase. I remember that was a big deal back in 21 when that happened. And so I don't think Coinbase would list it if it wasn't doing something legitimate. Let me see. I'm interested in the website since I haven't been on it. It's the same website. I guess it has done a little bit in terms of yeah, I guess I just don't know what it's really doing right now. I know like you said, Alex, the real world assets kind of narrative is what it's got going for it. So I think, yeah, we'll see. So you said LCX, CVX, CRV. What else?
I'm gonna keep it there for now. I'm gonna let you kind of talk about a few that you have larger conviction in. I know Credible Crypto put us both onto CVX and CRV some time ago. It's actually funny because he thought the bear market, or not essentially the bear market, but we're gonna have a larger pullback down to that 40K level. And then we mooned right up to 100K. So we actually held our spot in CRV and CVX and have done very, very well on it. Obviously, we're on a little bit of a pullback here, but I think it's going to do very, very well over the long term, right? And again, CVX might get a little more return than CRV, but they're pretty much congruent in with the way they're going to go up together.
Yeah, they're basically blue chip DeFi plays. I don't think you can go wrong with CVX or CRV. They have most of the stable coin liquidity in DeFi, and institutions like that, they are definitely paying attention to where there's the deepest liquidity in crypto and the most successful protocols. And CRV is one that everyone's known about for several years now. It's continued to build, even though the price action on the actual token hasn't been the greatest. As institutions get in and they look for solid protocols that are actually building something, especially DeFi related, CRV, CVX, absolute no-brainers. So I do want to talk about and kind of shift from the DeFi. I know we talked about DeFi, now we talked about real-world assets, but I do want to talk about AI specifically, because I think for 2025, I guess the big thesis here is that the AI super cycle, if you want to call it that, which is basically just a mini cycle within the greater crypto cycle, is occurring. And I think they actually talked about that today on Raoul Paul's live as well, because it is really just one of the biggest narratives that has hit the crypto space. I think we've been talking obviously about Tau for now like 2 years at this point, and Tau is basically a framework that is trying to have blockchain and AI meet in the middle and have open source development. Now, we've also talked about the fact that that's kind of a very it's a very huge goal that they have in mind, and to believe that they're going to compete and potentially overtake something like OpenAI, that's a pretty big deal, and it's a pretty big statement. And we all obviously know from being in crypto, like, teams have massive goals, they have massive missions and visions, but most of the time they don't have enough time to actually foresee that, because the market is so volatile, and if they have a token attached to it, people usually lose belief because of the boom and bust nature of crypto. But what we've seen in the last couple of months, and this is why I think it is actually the most exciting part about this, is it's only been a couple of months since we've seen quote unquote AI agents being combined with blockchain in a way where now we have this kind of huge shift from 2024 being like the year of meme coins to now potentially just basically having more sentient memes. So when I say sentient memes, I just mean more dynamic pieces in the market that allow for more speculation and more hype and essentially more ridiculous valuations. So most of my coins at this point, I've made moves to basically allocate to some of the biggest meme / AI picks in the market. So let me see, am I still sharing my screen?
Yeah, when it comes to meme coins, I'm not super big on meme coins, but I do have a generous bag allocated to both Pepe and Brett. So Brett on the base, right? Network. I think it's going to be a huge play. It's not listed on every major exchange yet. So I really do think it's going to be a huge player here. You can get that on Uphold as well. And then Pepe you can get just about anywhere. So I think Pepe is going to do great. Things like Shiba Inu, of course, will do well, but I just think in terms of Pepe, it's going to give you that safe return, right? That 7, 8, hopefully a 10x. If we see that blow off top, Bitcoin up towards 250K. But I think Brett's going to do very, very well. And I know it's fluctuating a little bit, but it's holding that 12 cent level at the moment very, very well. So I have a lot of conviction in it.
Yeah, like I said, the static memes, I think that was like everything in 2024. And so if we're looking for what is going to be kind of replicate, what Pepe has done already, $10 billion market cap, what some of these massive memes have done, I think we can look to the AI X crypto kind of sphere as this is potentially going to be the next big thing in terms of just gambling, hyper speculation. So one that we've talked about that has already done very well is AIXBT. It's the biggest agent. It's the one with the most mind share. It was launched on Virtuals, which Virtuals, as you probably know if you're in the space, has done several multiples at this point. So I think things are going to change. This right now is the hottest AI agent on the block in the crypto space, and it's done very well. It's only at a $500 million market cap. I think things could get super crazy. AIX blockchain as a whole is only at 16 billion, or approximately 16 billion. I think we'll probably see it at around 100 billion. Granted, we get more of a bull run in 2025. I think the one that I really want to talk about, the one that I've added a large kind of position to at this point on this dip, is GOAT. Now this one again is one that's been around, but it is actually the one that started everything for the AIX blockchain or the AI agent meta. Obviously, Truth Terminal, this birthed essentially Godius Maximus, and then this meme coin absolutely exploded. It has really been getting a lot less attention recently. It's down like 60% from its all-time high. But I think eventually, if this meta continues, Godius Maximus is going to be just like the blue chip, the one that's going to stay relevant because, of course, there's now a million agents, there's a million teams trying to develop in this space. And obviously, there's a lot of fluff, a lot of just random stuff that's not worth investing in. But again, if we believe that this meta is going to be huge in 2025, which again, if the bull market happens the way we believe it's going to happen, I think it's obvious. It's one of the most obvious plays in crypto to allocate to AI. Godius Maximus is one that people have completely forgotten about, and I think is going to return. I think the other one that we allocated to just in the last couple of, like literally in the last day, is AI16Z. This one just partnered with Stanford. Again, it's another framework that essentially is launching AI agents and AI platforms. And again, the point is, real world AI is years ahead of where AI is in crypto, but it just seems, if you've been around when DeFi was coming out, when NFTs were coming out, this has got similar hype, and I think it's even bigger because of the fact that AI is like the main talking point in global markets and industry outside of crypto. So I think that's what makes this even bigger. I have to give honorable mention to Fartcoin because I think literally, no matter how much people hate the name or think that it's stupid, I think this one's going to do well too. Obviously, this is a derivative. I don't want to say derivative, but it's also attached to Truth Terminals, also attached to Godius Maximus. And yeah, between those two, I think you can't go wrong if you want to get exposure on a base level to the AI meta. But then you can go in a little bit more and try and find, and you're going to have to probably rotate capital as the year goes on if this thing, things continue to go up. But I think AIXBT right now so far has a lot of mind share. And then this is another one actually that's trending, Cookie DAO, which is basically like an indexer for all of these AI agents. And yeah, I wish I got into this sooner. I was looking at it at around 10 cents, 20 cents. And look how fast these things move. I didn't pull the trigger, and now it's at a price that I'm not necessarily okay with. I wanted to see it dip a little bit more, but again, Cookie is one that just also got listed on Binance with a 16. So I don't want to talk your ear off too much about AI, but I really think at this point in the cycle, yes, Pepe, these static memes are going to do well, but they've also been running up for, upwards of 2 years. And I don't really think that there's much alpha left in these coins. Maybe they're potentially safer. Maybe they're still going to do well. But I guess that's my counter argument there is that we want to be kind of early to these things. And I think, again, 16 billion is a joke for the AI meta if we're assuming that it's going to get anywhere near the meme coin cycle that we had in 2024. But then you obviously have people like Murad who think, or at least outwardly speaking, his whole thesis is around static memes, and hasn't changed his thesis even though AI has basically just blown up the entire space. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But as of right now, the main kind of thing that I'm doing in my portfolio is really, really focusing on AI and whatever comes out there and trying to be early to it, because I think it's just like got the perfect storm of hyper gambling and, speculation. Nobody can really tell how high it's going to go.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think AI is going to knock everyone's back on their butt, basically. Once it really takes off, it's going to be like, hey, why did I not buy Render, Tau, Fetch, right? Disclaimer too, we all know that Dante and I trade a little differently, right? He will attack some of these smaller plays, right? You've done very well with them. Everyone that he seems to put me on to seems to get a nice pump. I know GOAT, when we were looking at that chart just a second ago, I think it was around December 9th, it was coming down, and you caught it, you texted me, and I think by the end of the day, you were up a good portion on your investment, right? So definitely, if you want those smaller AI plays, Dante's your guy, and he'll give you some good alpha here, right? As we're going through some of these videos throughout this bull market. Want to pivot real quick to, I know we're talking about the stock market being intertwined and how we think crypto's separating a little bit from the way that the crypto market and the stock market interact with one another. However, let's look at MSTR and Coinbase. So disclaimer, right? We both have been getting exposure to MSTR and Coinbase. We bought MSTR, looking at the chart here, back when it was below $200. So we reeled it up very, very nicely. It peaked around a little over, yeah, almost 550. It hit 540 there. That was the top, and we've been coming down, consolidating. We got a nice pump up to almost $400 there, and now we're coming down a little bit with Bitcoin's chop. But I think this thing looks primed, right? If Bitcoin really makes a move towards an all-time high, I think you're going to see MSTR take off. Same thing with Coinbase, right? I do hold Coinbase. I think it's I bought more on the dip when it was below $180 there. We shot up a little bit. I think we hit what was the top here? Yeah, 343. So awesome there. Came back down to 258, but I'm not worried. Just like the rest of my crypto investments, I think these are all going to perform very, very nicely as we start to see Bitcoin push towards 140, 150K.
Yeah, MSTR was obviously one. I think that was like honestly the trade of 2024. If you were trying to get Bitcoin exposure without buying Bitcoin, MSTR was an amazing one to hold. And we had like a little daily DCA going on that we were sharing with you guys on Twitter. So if you missed out on 2024 and all the gains we made, I think we made some amazing calls. Obviously, we don't get everything right, and we're obviously going to talk about our wins more than our losses. But over 2024 and hopefully in 2025, we can have like a solid track record of some plays that really worked out. I think MSTR was, again, one of the big wins of 2024 for us. We shared that on very early that we were doing that. Another one would be AERO before it took off and kind of went parabolic, and we managed to get in and get out, and now it's a blue chip really, right, for base. So yeah, I think there's a lot that we kind of did that was good in 2024, but I think there's a lot of opportunity, guys, in 2025. I think even more so than 2024, if we're really setting up for this kind of bull run that we're expecting. Obviously, I'm not saying we're early. I think we are closer, I don't want to say to an end than we are a beginning, but I think if you're not allocated now and you're not spending all of your time in crypto now, it's not going to happen for you. And that's just my opinion. So you want to lock in now, as they say. You want to be as focused as you can be. We've talked about our own angles on what we think are like the places to keep your attention. I think AI, like I said, pay attention to it, allocate to it if you want, or don't. And then, maybe you'll be upset at the end of 2025. But there's so many things going on in crypto. It's extremely dynamic right now. It's the most development we've had in the space for a very long time. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, I think you had a lot of good stuff there that you just kind of reviewed. You kind of got a little bit ahead of me. I was going to ask you what was like your top 2 or 3 plays from 2024 that you thought did the best. Before we kind of close it out with that, I think we kind of go back and forth. Just want to remind everyone, if you're looking for more of those in the minute, right, up to date information from us, definitely check out our X account, right, to blockchain. We'll definitely put that link in the description below. We're posting over there pretty frequently, right, several times a day. So if you are looking for those plays where we think things are going, give us a follow. Again, we're looking for comments, interaction. We'll get back to you. And we'll discuss anything that we think needs to be basically evaluated. We will talk to that in detail on our next shows as well. So definitely make sure you're posting, commenting, following, etc. But yeah, Dante, let's bring it back. I know you said that you thought AERO was one of your biggest plays from 2024, which I would agree with. I remember I was on vacation down in Florida with my family on the golf course when you texted me about it. And I basically looked at it. I think it was sitting somewhere around 8 or 9 cents when you texted me about it. And I was looking at it and I was like, you started giving me some info on it. I started researching it myself and I was like, okay. So we both put a pretty big bag in there, and we did very, very well, right? It obviously came back up towards $1, came back down, chop, right? The continuous chop, but it's actually not sitting too much higher above $1, but I think we rode it all the way up to almost $2 at the time before we sold out of it. Disclaimer, right? Bought back in below $1 again, so we're back on the AERO train, one of our biggest plays as well. But definitely in terms of our 2024 overall best plays, I think AERO was a fantastic return for both of us.
Yeah, I think base, we talked about at the start of the year, base season, it's occurring, it's happening. I think we've achieved what we wanted to achieve with base. A bunch of the biggest protocols that have come out this year or in the last year have been on base. I think forward looking, if we have to talk about, like I said, I'm going to be a broken record until something changes. I think the hyper speculation in AI is where people are going to find the most kind of easy, I don't even want to say easy wins. I don't think it'll be easy, but I think look in the AI space, even if it's complete BS, even if the technology they're talking about is complete BS and it's overhyped, it doesn't mean you can't make money from it. So yeah, that's where I'll be focusing. Alex, do you have any sectors or places you're looking at for this year that you want to discuss before we sign off?
Yeah, I'm going to sound like a broken record here as well. I think that my three biggest plays for 2025, and when I say biggest plays, right, are you going to get a better return somewhere else? Obviously, there's other things you can invest in, but the risk versus reward is going to be higher there, right? And I'm always evaluating back and forth, right? Okay, is the risk super high and the reward super high? Probably not going to dive into a project like that, just because I'm not a fan of losing money for the potential to gain it, right? I want to know that what I go into, I have a very strong conviction that it's going to at least do a 3, 4x, right? With the potential to do a 10 plus X. That is probably that parameter where I love to get involved in, right? Now, I do own Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. Those big players, I know they're not going to do anything close to a 10x, but you always want to have a piece of your portfolio allocated safely, which is how I view things like Coinbase stock, how I view things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, etc. And then you kind of get into my largest holdings, right? My largest holdings are XRP, ONDO, and SUI. I think that they're very, very safe. I think you're guaranteed to do almost a 3 to 4x this year with the potential to do a lot more, right? Again, I know people are calling for XRP upwards towards $20, right? $25. Do I think you're going to get there? Probably not, but I think somewhere between that $10 to $15 range is very realistic. Same thing with ONDO. I think it can easily break $10. It's sitting a little over $1 at the moment. SUI, I think you're going to get a little bit of a less return just because it's done so well. It's sitting a little over $5. I wouldn't be surprised if it got above 15 to 20. But still, that's only a 3, 4, 5x potential there. But still realistic. If you're looking for safe bets that you're not going to lose money, right? These are things that you can go into with a higher conviction that I'm not going to lose my initial investment, right? So we'll talk about that more as we kind of work through the year. And
Don't
definitely
say we can never lose money in crypto. You can always lose money in
I
crypto.
agree with you there. Hey, I'm telling you, I've lost plenty of money in this space. We've also made plenty of money.
There's no
So
guarantees in crypto, guys.
there
That's all I gotta
there's
say.
there's not, and not financial advice as always. However, if you believe in this market as much as we do, sitting here preaching this stuff to you, I do think that those three are the safest, some of the safest bets versus the reward that you're going to get from them.
Yeah, I think I mainly on SUI. I definitely agree. I think listen, it has the network effect of a layer one. You can't, and it's already done so well. So SUI, I think real world assets, ONDO, it's going to be harder to understand where the cap is for that or what is the, like obviously it's there's trillions and trillions of dollars of real world assets that they could tokenize on chain. But is it going to be one platform? Is it going to be one token involved with that? Or is it going to be spread out between multiple blockchains, infrastructures, etc.? Obviously, we know about Chainlink. That's a huge rail that real world assets is using. And Chainlink, fundamentally one of the best projects out there, hasn't performed very well, to be honest with you. So if you guys know me from my channel, I was a huge Chainlink guy. Been posting videos about it for years, but it's not one that I hold right now because it's the return on investment I don't think is there. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this year plays out. I'm excited for it. Like I said, there's so many things going on. It's dynamic. If you go back to 2022 bear market, like so boring, nothing going on. I think there was just like a few things, Pepe, Tau, like a few things to talk about. Now going into 2025, we have so many different things we can talk about, so many things to be excited about. Obviously, I don't think the music's gonna be on forever, but let's enjoy it while we're here. So I don't think I have anything else, man.
No, either do I. I think next video we can kind of start getting into some other mid to large caps, right? You're kind of sparking some ideas here. I don't want to run this video too long, but we can definitely talk about stacks. I like stacks. I like Jupiter a lot. I like ICP. And we can definitely break those down. Chainlink, 100%, right? That's within my top 10 holdings. I know you said you don't own any, but I do love Chainlinks. We'll break all those down in our next video. As always, appreciate everyone listening in. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and follow us over on X if you're looking for more minute-to-minute updates on the market.
Two bros.
Two bros, one blockchain, signing out. Have a good day, everyone.
Peace.